If anybody gives me a hard time for uploading and or singing this, then I don't want to sing with you. And if you think I'm ignorant, maybe because we have different beliefs, well, that's on you. Maybe you haven't looked into it, maybe you have, but hey, we don't have to agree on everything. Let's do this. Something's going wrong in the neighborhood. Why do we see further than we should? All around us, people unaware, lied to and deceived without a care. There simply is no curve inside. You know we don't spend all day and night. It seems they want our minds flooded with lies. If you wanna bust the globe, I know these guys. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call when the horizon flattens out? Go ahead, call them up, see what that's about. We can go around in circles trying to find this out, but if we looking for the truth, about to find it out. NASA can't go to space, so we hit the roof. Get it, hit the roof, and it all came to light with 200 proofs. Now I'm just really sick of people lying to me, so when I tell the truth, don't come crying to me. Pick up the phone, get on the line with me. Line with me. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! I can't help myself. Glowbusters! Yeah. That's right. Oh, man.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, episode number 1 on Rockfin, the uphill battle of flat Earth. I am your host, Bob Xanadude60, and we are back for, I guess, our first broadcast, at least on the subscription side of Rockfin. And I had a little bit of trouble getting it started initially, but it looks like we are streaming okay now. So yeah, hopefully everything will be hunky-dory on that, because I'm a little bit new at this. So when I went live and it didn't go live, I'm like, oh my God, great, just what I need. First problems on my first day of this. So hopefully we'll get this all worked through, and I'll be able to handle this with no further issues in the future. All right, so today, guys, we're going to be talking about several things. I think because of the fact that we are on a brand new platform, and obviously there are several thousand users on Rockfin, and Flat Earth is, pretty much a new topic on here. I mean, there are other truther channels on there, but Globebusters will be pretty much the first exclusive Flat Earth channel that's on here, which of course brings the potential of several thousand people, into our community. So what I want to do today is I want to kind of talk about, why we believe some of the things that we do, some of the opposition that we're having, which is absolutely insane. And we'll kind of go into that a little bit. And also to introduce the panel to all the new people and, let everybody know exactly how we got into this conundrum or into this belief, or into this knowing, I should say, actually. But yeah, it's a crazy world how this all works out. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, that we can get through all that today. And we are broadcasting currently on YouTube as well. We're going to be doing this for about the first half hour, and then after that we're going to be switching over to the Rockfin only stream. So if you have not signed up for Rockfin, please do so now. It's in the show notes. It's rockfin.com/globebusters. And for those of you that are not able to afford the subscription for Rockfin, we were thinking of you also. And that's why I've decided to start a Wednesday night show of Globebusters also. That obviously we can't talk about a lot of the same stuff that we're going to be able to be talking about on Rockfin because it is a completely uncensored platform. But at least we'll be able to keep you up to date on all the good stuff that's going on in the community. And, we're going to do the best we can by it because I know a lot of you have been with us for a long, long time, and we definitely do appreciate that. And, we wish that everybody could make it over to Rockfin with us, but I certainly understand money isn't exactly growing on trees unless you're the Federal Reserve. So know how that goes. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to the panel. First up is Jaron from Jaronism, as always. How are you doing today, Jaron? Ruh-roh, you're muted. Oops.
Hello, Bob.
There you go. There's Jaron.
Knock it off here. I don't want to hear your. It's funny. I have two StreamYards open. I just realized that, so I was unmuted in the other one. I don't know why it even let me open two. Doing great, Bob. Thanks. Happy to be here. Happy everybody in the chat's here. It's going to be a fun day.
It's going to be a fun day Sunday. That's right. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to our next contestant. Next up, we have Iru Landucci from the land down under. Sort of down under in Argentina. How are you doing today, Iru?
Good, Bob. Hello, everyone. Nice to be in the show and nice to be part of the battle.
Yep, awesome. Glad to have you here. And wow, the Rockfin subscriptions are really pouring in. This is great, guys. We're so happy that so many people are coming over. This is absolutely awesome. All right, next up we have the doctor who is in, Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez. How you doing today, Rodrigo?
I'm doing great, Bob. And hello, guys. Hello, Iru, Jaron, John, and Austin's going to be here later. Yeah, happy to be here, man. This is great. It's like a step forward for sure. And yeah, maybe now we can start really focusing on the informations and the hard questions and on getting all the what I'm talking about out of the way. Going for the right targets. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because, there's, even though Flat Earth is going to be the primary focus of this channel, there are definitely some things that I feel we need to talk about, we need to make more people aware of. Obviously, our current situation, which is 100% verboten to talk about on YouTube. And, I feel that there's things that need to be said about that. So there you have it. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Next up, we have back with us John the Morgile. How you doing today, John?
Hey, guys. Hello, everybody. Doing just fine. Hope y'all are doing well. And, ready for a great show on Rockfin.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this is so cool. I guess Rockfin started out as like a sports thing for mostly wrestling, Jaron?
Yeah, I think they started like a wrestling platform for, I don't know, different colleges or high schools that wanted to televise their, I guess it's not called televise, that wanted to stream their wrestling. And then from there it grew into, and you saw the owner talking about his feelings about YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. And he seemed like a really, really, he's on the ball totally. I mean, he's definitely an advanced thinker, and I really like his business strategy that he is, come up with for Rockfin. And I think it's going to be beneficial to, not only the audience, but the creators as well. And that's something that YouTube really started getting away from, is they just kind of came across as, oh, screw the creators. We don't really care about you anymore now that we've, become number one. So
they only care about certain kinds of so-called creators, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like PewDiePie's and things that are just making completely brainless content, as far as I'm concerned.
If it's mindless garbage, YouTube's all over it. But if it's anything that involves going against the grain or upsetting the status quo, they are, they're censor crazy, ain't they?
And they promote. They even have what do you call it? Bestiality. They promote bestiality in their freaking platform.
Oh my God,
it's fucked up. It's fucked up. And they don't let people think. They don't have people have opinions about what's going on with, especially with the stupid masks, stupid everything, stupid vax. So you can't talk about that, or you get hammered.
Well, you know, what
hopefully it's different.
YouTube's opening themselves up for litigation because when they started out there, it's just simply a platform for people to put up their content. They weren't in any sort of an editorial role. But when they start censoring content and telling people what they can and cannot talk about, they are, in a sense, picking up an editorial role, which means they're open to litigation. And I believe it's just a matter of time before people start suing YouTube for just trampling all over their First Amendment rights. But
they did that.
We'll see.
They were doing that. Remember, in 2018, there was a whole movement. There were German lawyers. There's a bunch of people. That's been going on for a while, and I don't know how long it takes until something happens. And now it's probably too late for
class action suits take years, sometimes many years. They'll tie that thing up in court probably until we're all long dead. But we'll see.
Yeah, and they work with the government. They're part of the whole operation. So it's like they get a free pass on just like anybody else on that level, I guess. So it's nuts. So corrupt out there.
Yeah, it really, really is. So one thing I want to get covered before we switch off the YouTube feed is this. Now, many of you have probably seen the Level documentary that was put out by Hibbler Productions, and in my opinion, I think he did a really good job on it. Kudos to those guys. But unfortunately, and of course, as one of the topics that we will be talking about today, one of the ways that they have tried to quash this documentary is by going to the IMDb database and just basically crapping all over it, giving it 1-star reviews, and it's really pathetic that they would do that, but that is exactly what they are doing. So what Sean Hibbler has requested is that people go to the IMDb, and I will put this in the chats.
It's not so bad now. It's already 5.8.
Is it getting better?
Yeah, I saw some of the issues. There are some issues with this obviously, and I think you probably have at least some technical issues with it. But in general, like you said, I thought the production was great, and it did focus on a lot of information. But apart from that, the way it ended, and that gave kind of a wrong impression to a lot of people, and some other things as well in it that I don't know. I think that we can do a documentary that would focus on the evidence.
Yeah, well, there is one coming out that does do that. In fact, that's the new one that Shelley Lewis is coming out with, which I believe is due out very soon. And not only that, I know one of the parts that I did in it, I actually got to tell the other side of the story about what happened with Behind the Curve, and how they basically kind of shanked Jaron and I on that and misrepresented us. And so they let us kind of tell the whole story on there, let me tell the story on that, and I did. And so that's pretty cool. And there will be a lot more technical information in that particular documentary. But as far as, for an intro, I think this was pretty good. But like I said, as you would expect for the trolls, the first thing they did is get out everybody to give it 1-star reviews and, just very unfair stuff. And so I would ask is, on behalf of Sean Hibbler, that everybody go to this address at IMDb and, give it a fair review. I'm not saying you have to give it 5 stars. If you don't think it deserves 5 stars, then by all means, don't give it that. But at least give it a fair review, because I know it's better than 1 star, and I know it's much better than what these people have said about it, basically just crapping on it. It's awful what they've done.
Remember what they did with Shelley Lewis when in her first one that was in production there as well. It was pretty nasty.
Oh yeah.
Back then, the comments are terrible. The comments are terrible. I think that if the comments, I don't know. I don't care so much about reviews, and I just have my opinion. I don't care that my opinion gets amplified or accepted. I don't really, I don't mind. But when I look at IMDb, what I do? I usually, when I'm looking for opinions, I go for the 1-star reviews on mainstream films to see how people pick it apart.
I do that too.
And some are so funny. Prometheus is hilarious. Like IMDb Prometheus. Oh my goodness.
Interesting.
I was like holding myself laughing. Like, it's great.
Yep. So anyway, guys, like I said, that's just one thing that, I believe it deserves much better than what the trolls are making it out to be. And there are a lot of flat earthers, and I think, it's already come up substantially. But I think it can do a lot better. So if you guys can go there and just post a review, that would be super. Very cool. And Austin was here a minute ago, and then he kind of dropped out. So, I don't know if he's having connection problems or what's going on. But
he got arrested, I think.
Yeah, that's it. He got arrested again. No, I'm sure he'll be back very shortly. So, all right. So let's see. So I guess the next thing, I guess we can go ahead and move on. Sorry, guys, I'm still trying to get used to handling these two different streams at the same time, and I'm kind of looking back and forth just to make sure everything's going okay on the Rockfin. So if I seem a little distracted, it's only because I am. So there you have it. So I guess what I want to say is that, when I guess I'm going to start out first about, how we got into flat Earth and, why, we believe in this, well, I guess it's a knowing. It's much more than a belief. It's a knowing. And it really does go far beyond any type of belief. Once you see it, you'll never really unsee it. And even though there are people that have supposedly, gone back to the globe, and I will be talking about that a little bit later on, I really don't believe for 1 second their heart is in it or they have some other alternative motive. But those people are far and few between. But I think once you really see it, there is no going back because everything just kind of resonates for you. So I personally got into flat Earth by being a major NASA fanboy, believe it or not. And I spent the great portion of my life, following people like Richard Hoagland, and I know Morgile did too. And, I was always, wondering what was going on because the possibility of what could be out there in space just kind of fires the imagination, right? So I always wondered about that. And I could see very clearly that the stuff that NASA was putting out was clearly faked, right? It was clearly CGI. There was no actual footage of anything coming out. I did know that the moon landings were fake, but I thought that the reason that they were doing stuff like that was because there was some other reality out there that was so fantastical that nobody would be able to really accept it. And so they had to keep that on the down low. And I really did believe that.
Well,
So
in some ways,
yeah, in some ways, well, when you think about it, it really is. So there's Austin. So, hey, Austin, you with us? Oh,
Hey,
hello.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Right on.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
Yeah, no worries. We got you now. So say hello to everybody, Austin. We're just kind of talking about what got us into flat Earth.
What's up, everybody? Personally, I heard about B.O.B.'s. I was listening to his Element mixtapes, and he said the Earth was flat, and I was like, oh wow, I look dumb. I told everyone the Earth, or listen to this guy, and then, it took me less than like a day to figure out we could have been lied to.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people actually came in via B.O.B., listening to him. So that's pretty cool. I had never even heard of B.O.B. until I got into flat Earth, and Jaron really liked his music and started playing a lot of it, and I started liking it a lot too. And I never really was a big rap fan, but I do like a lot of the songs that he does. Thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, getting back to my story. So while I was looking at that, one day I came across a website called Clues Forum. And in this website, they were kind of debunking the space shuttles and why rockets could not possibly fly in a vacuum, the vacuum of space. And the thing that I really liked about it, even though I have to tell you that they think flat Earth is a psyop, the rest of the work that they do, debunking NASA is absolutely stellar, right? So I'm sitting there watching, reading all of these posts, and one day some guy made a post about flat Earth, and his post was so unbelievably compelling, and it was like several pages long, that I mean, after getting done reading, I looked at Cami and I said, you know what, the Earth's flat. I mean, I bought it right then, hook, line, and sinker, the whole 9 yards. And
wow, that's a tough one because you're such a space fan, like you say.
yeah, I was, but to see, the whole thing was I was trying to figure out what could be the possible reason that they would be hiding all this. And when he laid it out, and I don't even remember the guy's name that did it. I have to go back and actually look at it. I think it might have been Boethius or something like that. But I mean, it was so compelling that was about it. That's all it took. Then I started searching out flat Earth videos. Shortly after that, I found, Jeranism. I found Eric Dubay, Math Powerland, all the usual guys that were there way back in 2015. And, before I knew it, I was kind of an active part of the community. So pretty amazing that would actually happen. And of course, then Jaron and I started doing Globebusters, and we've been talking about this now for 6 years. And the amount of evidence I think that we have provided is so overwhelming. I always have based my talks on, what I call a preponderance of evidence. In other words, there may not be any one thing that is absolutely conclusive, but when you add all of these things together and just look at them, collectively, it's like, wow, there has to be something to this. There absolutely is something to this. And so that's why, I've always kind of taken that approach, and that kind of a common sense approach as well for a lot of people, because the Globers will try and, baffle you with bullshit and come up with intense mathematical explanations and physics that is largely unproven, untested, so many things that are absolutely fall into the realm of scientism that I'm sorry, it just doesn't work for a lot of people. Yeah, it is science fiction. It really is. So that's what kind of got me into it. And I'm sure that everybody else is kind of curious about, the rest of you guys also on the panel. So, Jaron, I'm going to hand it over to you. And if you would be so kind, kind of tell people how you got here and, what you're thinking about all this is.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it was before any of this, I was, too busy in my slave job and in the Matrix to think about any of this stuff. And I'm in the camp of if somebody would have came to me and told me in 2014, or let's even go back, 2011 or 12, if somebody would have came in and said, the Earth's flat to my store, I would have said, what difference does it make? And they would have said, oh, well, it's very important. They're lying to us. And I would have said, it doesn't matter to me. I've got work to do. I've got 70 employees to handle, and I'm a single dad. And so it's very easy to make excuses when you're stuck in the Matrix, when you believe the news because you have 30 minutes a day to really even listen to that, be my ride to work, right? I would get that news. So when I quit that job because I didn't like the way the corporation was going and decided to work from home, it just gave me a lot more time to research and think about some of these things. And we built this beautiful website, but we forgot about the fact that you need to actually have advertising or some way to get people there. They don't just magically show up at different websites. So I just had a lot of time sitting at my desk, and some of these things that people had told me in the past. I had a buddy who told me that 9/11 was an inside job, and I said, okay, I don't want to hear that again. Don't talk to me. But now I was sitting at a computer with free time, and I said, let me look into this, see what he's got to say. So I just started to uncover throughout 2012, 13, 14, what I thought was just deceptions everywhere, and kind of started to see, okay, I think we're being lied to on a massive level, and told my wife, let's just erase everything that we believe and start all over. I don't see a problem with it. This way, if things that you formerly believed, if you go out and actually prove them to yourself, great, then add them back to the category. And things that you used to believe that you can't prove, you just leave those alone. So we were looking at that stuff, and one of the very first things that was important to me was the moon landing, because it was going to tell me whether or not massive government conspiracies for many years could be perpetrated, right? And I think I had always felt inside that the moon landing didn't happen, but I never actually looked into it. So it was hard to actually stand somewhere and say, yes, for sure this or for sure that. But I think the first thing that caught me off guard was finding the map and looking at how the map is situated and realizing that the equator is always down at the bottom of the map. And I was like, wait a second. So the equator is supposed to be in the middle. Why wouldn't this be drawn? And you can just go look at any Mercator map that's on the wall in any classroom, and you'll notice that the equator is not down the middle of the map. The equator's 3/4 of the way down. So that was the first time I started to realize, well, wait, why is this? I looked into that and saw, oh, it's because these white countries would enlarge their areas. So Russia's enlarged, the United States is enlarged, and they would shrink South America and shrink Africa. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. So you're telling me the map's wrong? Like the map's not even right? So that was the first thing. Then getting into the moon landing and finding that to be total deception and a lie. And then my wife came to me and said, do you think the earth could be flat? And I yelled at her and told her absolutely not. It's impossible. How would planes go around it? And that doesn't make any sense. And told her, I know we said we'd start all over, but we're not going to go past things that are fundamentally true, right? Some things are fundamentally true. We don't need to re-examine those. So that's, it was over the next couple of weeks that I found myself on Eric Dubay's site, and I saw for the first time what people call the AE map, or the, I don't know what other names for it. But when I saw the AE map and it just hit me that planes can fly around it, I think that was the first time I realized how much our indoctrination or how much our current beliefs can block us from seeing any other possibility. Because I literally thought when she said that, like, how could somebody be so dumb? How could planes can't go around anything except for a ball? And when you see that map laid out, you realize that planes fly around in a circle. Somebody's.
Yeah, somebody needs to mute. There's a lot of background noise coming from somebody.
So once I realized that, I said, okay, well, and I still wasn't sold on it at all. I was like, almost like, let me debunk this so I don't have to go to my wife and beg for forgiveness. So I was trying to figure out, different. And I'm looking at the map over and over again. That's when I saw that, oh, wait, you can't circumnavigate north-south on this flat Earth map. So I said, okay, that's easy. Well, then I just got to go find all the people that have circumnavigated north-south. And that kind of tells me that this map isn't possible. And I looked for it and couldn't find barely any. There's like one guy who did it over like 4 years in 79 to 83. That then you go look into him, and he's a Mason, and he's a Baron of this, and he's the Queen's cousin, and he works directly with Prince Charles. And all. So it just seemed very weird. And then I found that he was in a court case where he was found guilty of lying during expeditions and faking accidents. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Now we got this guy who's the only guy that's ever gone the north-south circumnavigation, who's been in court and admitted to fraud, admitted to faking accidents, doing things in front of a camera for a camera crew. So I just was really starting to look at it like, man, this is not looking good for my current beliefs. And then really the thing that took me over the hump was the ZQ pilot, was the pilot that I found out was going to be trying to break the record for a single manned plane doing north-south circumnavigation. And they had this thing on it called Spider Tracks. You'd be able to track this plane. And at the time I didn't know anything about it. I was like, okay, I'll watch this guy. And we watched him fly from North Carolina down to Argentina, and then from there down to Brazil. And then from Brazil, he was supposed to go across the 90-degree marker and come out over in New Zealand. And you watched his little spider tracks, and he went to the 90-degree marker, and the plane turned around and went right back to Brazil. Then he stops in Brazil, and a bunch of people were asking, like, what happened? Why aren't you on the current path? Why aren't you on the your actual planned path? And he said that the weather got way too bad as he got close to the South Pole, and he had to turn around and come back. And then I was like, okay, we're done watching him. Well, no. And then he took off from Brazil and flew across the Southern Pacific to New Zealand, then up to Alaska, and then from Alaska to the North Pole, and then back to North Carolina. And I was thinking, well, this would be funny. They're certainly not going to call that circumnavigation. Well, what do you know? They gave him the record for the fastest north-south circumnavigation. So when I saw that, I was pretty much all in. I mean, I said, you got to be kidding me. How can we be calling something circumnavigation when clearly the person didn't circumnavigate? They didn't cross the South Pole. They didn't go across Antarctica. They almost ran and touched the goal line and came back. And that kind of led right to the flat Earth map. And that's what I would expect from a flat Earth map, that you would get too far away from where the sun is, and the weather, I'm sure, would be treacherous. So I'm assuming that was what would happen to anybody that took a plane and just started flying south. I think you're going to hit some pretty shitty weather. Now, couldn't you get through that and come out on some other side? I don't know. That's what we're here for. A lot of guessing and a lot of spitballing, but that's what happens when you're lied to on a massive level. And it just seemed like everywhere I looked, from then on, I was just finding lies and deceit. And you have this whole idea about cosmology and the whole idea about science and how it all works and how it's all beautiful together. And then you start hearing some of these guys admit to themselves and admit to everybody that, what do they say? That a lot of cosmology tries to hide the fact that all of our model is built on philosophical presuppositions. And, these are actual physicists saying this. And when you're like, wait, what are you talking about? And you kind of look into what they're saying, and they're basically saying that a lot of what they've decided is based off this modesty principle, where they feel we couldn't possibly be the center of the universe. We can't possibly be important, and they can't possibly be a creator. And therefore, you can build a model of what you see as long as you have that as your foundation. And so everything that science has ever done is to build around this foundation that we can't possibly be important, we can't possibly be created, and we can't possibly be the only intelligent life here. And we can't so they've now built this whole idea around that. And that's why you have these crazy distances of galaxies. And this is why they're red shifting. And this is why, and when I talked about that, Hubble was a big one for me. Hubble makes a big deal, big point to say, hey, I'm observing this, and it does lead me to believe we are the center of the universe. However, that is an absolute horror. It's the worst thing that there could ever be. We have to do whatever we can to get around that. And so then they started sitting around and they came up with the idea of spatial curvature and the idea of expanding universe and red shifting. And then you realize that this is just not science. It's just, if the observations tell you that you're the center and you're like, nah, we don't like what the observations tell us, so we're going to go do everything we can on the other side of it. Well, then just don't call it science. What you're doing isn't science. So from there, I mean, it was just one thing after another, Eratosthenes and learning about how a close local light will actually give you those shadows differences. So there's all these presuppositions that go into everything that they believe. And if you remove those out, then all of a sudden there's no cognitive picture like they try and tell us that there is. Look into how they got the distance to the sun and the size of these planets, and it's all based off of them assuming that Venus, which is a light in the sky, go look at the light in the sky tonight and tell me if you could actually ever guess how big that light is. And they said, well, maybe it's the same size as the Earth that we've already presupposed is this size. So if it's the same size of Earth and it goes in front of the sun, and they come up with all this mathematics, but it was all based off of a guess. And then guess what? When they went out there and did their investigation, they said, oh, what do you know? Venus is the same size of Earth. So, I mean, these things are preposterous. And so is the idea of the eclipse. It's an impossibility if you know statistics at all. And if you take what they're saying to be true, all these billions or trillions or actually sextillion stars, they're everywhere, all these planets orbiting them, to think that you would be on the one planet that has a moon, one moon, that happens to be the distance away from the Earth that is exactly in relation 400 times closer and 400 times smaller than the sun, so that they line up perfectly and create an eclipse perfectly at perfectly cyclical periods of time. You just start to realize that's not possible. It's actually, those are all signs of design. Those are all signs of creation. And so then when you realize everything they do is meant to erase that and to confuse you and tell you, no, the Earth is this old, and then no, the universe is this old, and none of their stuff makes any sense. So from that point, it became very easy to start questioning it all and realize that I think we're better off researching this stuff on our own. I'd rather not know, to be honest with you, than to ever believe what some men tell me, because I've realized in my life that men lie, they corrupt things, they do things for their own gain, they do things for their own good, and the last thing they really care about deeply is truth. Most of them just care about how do they look, what do you think of them, how important do you think they are, and so that's where I just realized, okay, I'm not going to trust men anymore. I'll wait until something is proven to me before I just jump on it, and that's been the best decision I ever made in my life. I feel so much better in my own skin because I don't have to believe shit. So I don't have this need to be on one side or the other. I feel like everybody has this need. I don't know if they're afraid of standing up for themselves or being on their own or going out on a limb. I don't really care anymore. So I think it feels so much better than to just cuck and do what everybody else does, which is I can't doubt this stuff. I can't doubt NASA. I can't doubt these things. They must be true. I'd rather say, no, I'd wait till they prove it to me, and they have not proven it to me at all. So that's my story.
Yeah, great story. All right, cool. All right, guys. And with that, we are going to go ahead and end the YouTube live stream. But if you can, like I said, if you can possibly subscribe to Rockfin and come over and join us on Rockfin, that would be great. If not, we'll probably see you back here on Wednesday night because, we'll definitely be having another show then as well, because we're not going to forget about, all the people that have been with us and that are unable to, afford the subscription. I get it. We get it. And we're trying to make that accommodation. And we're trying to make it work for everybody. And even though we've caught a lot of flack for this, we really are trying to do the best thing for everybody here. So,
and there's a lot of good content over there. I mean,
yeah.
And I've seen people in the chat talking about other videos that they've seen. If you go look over there, even the stuff that you can see for free, you'll see that there's videos. It reminds you of YouTube in 2015, 2016. So for that, I would be willing to pay easily $10 to go back to the YouTube days of old, where an event happens, you go search it, and you find all these people talking about it, and they're able to say whatever they want about it because they're not being over the top. They're just being free speaking, free thinkers. And I think those things need to be celebrated. So for $10 to get 200 plus channels plus whatever comes down the road, I think is a good deal.
Yep, absolutely. And hat tip to Libra Laura for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. And hopefully, again, you can join us over on Rockfin. That would be super. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and close this one down. And if you join us on Rockfin, we'll see you in just a couple minutes. Otherwise, we will see you on Wednesday evening. But thanks, everybody, for joining us. We love you. And we will talk to you soon. See you later.
Peace.
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 Pause.